Medivm is the sophomore full-length album from Argentina-based black metal band Wolves Winter, and I would qualify that with melodic black metal, and only because when I listen to bands that are influenced by Finnish black metal in particular, there's always a strong melodic element. When I sat down with this band's work and I got to thinking about what it actually sounded like, there was certainly a strong component from the earlier works of Sargeist and Satanic Warmaster feeding into their sound. I think that's pretty obvious once you've sat with it. I think that Behexen is a band that never gets lumped in there that should, with that kind of grouping and that kind of style between the very harsh side of it and the very melodic side of it. And so if you're thinking the early 2000s, that specific era of Finnish black metal, that is clearly where they started. And if you go back and listen to their demos and rehearsals from that time, you get a sense for their influences being worn on their sleeve. There was very much a type of music they were into. But they mention bands like Arcanum also in terms of the spiritual influence upon their craft, and a lot of where they get their themes, it comes from that religious place, that satanic or Luciferian mindset, which is part of the overall aesthetic and lyrical aspect of their sound. About 10 years after the band formed, they'd found the right lineup to record, and they finally put out their first full length. The job of that full length was to make good on a very long period of preparation for it. They felt like they were ready to put out an album back in 2010. They said so in interviews about their early demo tapes and their EP, but it never happened. And so Kn Coronatus was the making good on that sound, and what the medium does in its intent is push beyond that and continue that thread more quickly. They didn't wait 10 years to put out this record. So we'll cut to a clip here and get a sense for what's changed in their sound. And I would say right off the bat, it's just immediately more melodic, but also has its own sort of occult black metal touch to it as well. So check that out, and we'll get into what this band is all about otherwise. Of course, Norwegian black metal and Finnish black metal factor heavily into their sound. There is certainly a Scandinavian sound as part of their whole deal, and that doesn't really change here on the second record. What does change is the production values. Their production values had gotten very sharp on their first EP. It sounded really good for the time, and then fast forward to 2021, that record sounded even better, but it had kind of a drum sound that wasn't perfect. And I feel like they got the drums and their general recording and render much more better on this record. It still has elements of raw black metal in there. There is still a rawness to the way that they present their craft, but this is a well-produced record for this style, and I think that it allows for some clarity for the bass guitar to matter in the band, and that's never been an issue with this style. Finnish black metal has never thrown away bassists, but here it's an especially strong presence that is accentuated by a variety of vocal performances that are all expressive, deranged in some sense as well. There's a strong possession in the air for this record, and I think that's part of its spiritual directive as well as some of the stronger influences for the band. So it makes for a black metal record that is exciting. It's kind of a rush through a lot of these pieces, but all of them are satisfyingly intricate and emotive in the way that they present what I would consider a spiritual black metal record. So it has that certain level of something that makes it feel passionate and aggressive that a lot of black metal is frankly lacking for the sake of having no real purpose. And so the purpose that they put behind this band might have taken a long time to build up and present, but here they've done it quite well. I think this is the finest record from this band to date. I think everything they've done has had a strong quality behind it, and I think the only thing really detracting from the overall experience is that it wasn't outright memorable. There's so many bands that kind of sound like this, and so many of them go for such a cloyingly sweet melody and all that by easing back on those memorable melodic moments, they almost sound a little bit plain. And there's nothing wrong with that. I actually like that about the record, but it's not going to stick in mind in the long term as much as other things that are out there, probably because I listen to so much music. If you're specifically interested in just this kind of Finnish black metal influenced sound and different variations on it, I think this could be a pretty exciting record to hang out with. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I gave that a moderately high recommendation. Go ahead and check it out for yourself and see what you think. It came out today on October 4th, and read my review for more coherent and in-depth thoughts on this record.